Hello everyone, and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful Today channel. Taylor faints after hearing Ridge say 7 shocking words. Brooke's rescue by Ridge makes Taylor envious. When Ridge Forrester saves Brooke Logan, Taylor Hayes will be envious. Here's what BNB fans should anticipate as the relationship between Carter Walton and Hope Logan is also put to the test. To begin with, Daphne Rose will try to influence Carter and his engagement to Hope. Daphne will focus Carter's attention on her since Hope will be away assisting Liam Spencer following Grace Buckingham's disclosures. Carter's relationship with Hope will be tested more and more as he becomes closer to Daphne. Bill Spencer will receive furious updates about Grace's complex scheme to win $1 million and pay off persistent bookies in the meantime. Bill will be horrified that Grace even went so far as to prescribe medication to make Liam believe his tumor symptoms were getting worse. There will be a lot of anger because of what Grace did to Liam and how she misled Bill about the treatment. Bill will guarantee that Grace won't get away with this, but because Grace went to the station to confess, Liam might pressure his father to simply let the police handle it. According to other BNB rumors, Nick Marone will accompany Brooke back to Los Angeles in order to pop the question, but it appears that she will politely decline. After the events in Naples, Brooke would much rather get back together with Ridge, and she'll hope that it might happen. She'll hear the most recent information regarding Ridge's rescue and Brooke's near-drowning incident over with Taylor. Despite praising Ridge's courage and quick thinking, Taylor will experience some envy due to the ex's continued relationship. Ridge giving Brooke mouth-to-mouth resuscitation might also make Taylor unhappy. Ridge might, of course, omit the bit about kissing Brooke and promising to never take her for granted ever again. In the end, Taylor will be relieved that the trip is over and will encourage Ridge to concentrate on their wedding preparations. Since he doesn't want to upset Taylor, Ridge will find himself in a difficult situation, but at this time, his heart will undoubtedly be urging him to return to Brooke. Ultimately, Ridge will not stop their relationship, at least not at this time. The reunion between Brooke and Ridge will have to wait, but she will be occupied with a special occasion that will provide some joyous moments at Il Giardino. Sheila Sharp will finally learn why Lee Finnegan defended Luna Nozawa, and she might even swear she won't speak about their granddaughter's survival. When Ridge calls off their engagement, Taylor's broken heart syndrome reappears. When Taylor Hayes learns that Ridge Forrester and Brooke Logan are dating again, she will lose it. Naturally, a number of people attempted to caution Taylor, but he ignored them. Will Taylor suffer a significant setback as a result of Ridge's decision? Taylor Hayes came to Los Angeles to die. Taylor thought she was dying of heart failure when she first returned to town. But according to Grace Buckingham, she had broken heart syndrome. Fans witnessed Ridge, of course, doing everything in his power to aid Taylor's recovery. Ridge even enlisted the aid of a chakra healer. Naturally, this led to problems between Ridge and Brooke because of some of the positions they used during those exercises, which Brooke did not find acceptable. After becoming irate with Brooke about Carter Walton's takeover of Forrester Creations, Ridge moved in with Taylor at Eric Forrester's. Taylor Hayes was warned by everyone. While they were in Italy, everyone made an effort to alert Taylor that Ridge and they would get back together. Since Ridge and Brooke split up, Eric had made an effort to reassure Taylor that they would eventually get back together. He made an effort to clarify that Ridge was upset with Brooke. Although Taylor was upset with Eric for being honest, she will eventually realize that he was correct. As soon as everyone departed for the trip, Taylor was contacted by both Donna Forrester and Katie Logan. Donna and Katie tried to persuade her that Ridge and Brooke were meant to be together and that things will improve when they spent time together. Until Ridge gets home and tells Taylor the truth, she won't trust them. Taylor Hayes is going to collapse once more. After Ridge calls off their engagement, Taylor will ultimately collapse once more. Taylor thought that once Ridge accepted her proposal, he would never return to Brooke. But Ridge realized the truth after Brooke nearly died during that trip to Italy. Taylor recognizes that Ridge just cannot survive without Brooke. According to spoilers, Taylor is going to go out of town once more. Taylor could definitely go join Steffi Forrester now that she's out of town. Steffi is able to hear every detail of her father's return with Brooke. Will Taylor move on after realizing that Ridge and Brooke are a good match? Brooke Logan's near-drowning and Ridge Forrester's dramatic, life-saving rescue reverberates back to Los Angeles, striking a discordant and deeply unsettling chord within the heart of Dr. Taylor Hayes. Taylor, poised on the precipice of her long-awaited wedding to Ridge, the man whose tumultuous history with Brooke forms the very bedrock of their shared lives, receives the harrowing details not with pure relief for Brooke's survival, but laced with a corrosive, unexpected poison, profound, gut-wrenching jealousy. This isn't merely discomfort over Ridge's ex-wife being in peril. This is a visceral reaction to the undeniable, almost mythic, connection that flared anew in that life-or-death moment off the coast of Naples. She hears of Ridge, her Ridge, plunging into treacherous waters without hesitation, driven by an instinct deeper than thought, to reach Brooke. She hears of his desperate strength hauling her limp form to safety. She hears the praise for his bravery, his quick thinking, the heroism that undoubtedly saved Brooke's life, and each accolade, while intellectually acknowledged as justified, feels like a tiny dagger twisting in Taylor's heart. She forces herself to utter words of commendation, praising Ridge's courage because not to do so would expose the ugly truth simmering beneath her composed psychiatrist's facade, but the words taste like ash. The image is inescapable: Ridge, consumed by primal fear and determination, focused solely on Brooke, his entire being laser-targeted on her salvation. It resurrects every buried insecurity, every moment where Brooke's hold on Ridge seemed to defy logic and commitment. The depth of his reaction screams a truth Taylor has fought for decades. Brooke Logan occupies a unique, irreplaceable chamber in Ridge Forrester's soul, a chamber that can be temporarily walled off but never truly demolished, and certainly not by time or even Taylor's own enduring love. This rescue wasn't just an act of human decency, it was a terrifyingly public reaffirmation of a bond that transcends reason, circumstance, and even Taylor's hard-won place beside him. The thought that Ridge might have confided even more intimate details, the desperate mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, the whispered promises in the aftermath, "I'd never take you for granted again," is almost too much to bear. The physical intimacy of that life-saving kiss, the raw emotional confession likely omitted from Ridge's sanitized retelling, fuels a jealous fire Taylor struggles to douse. She pictures Ridge's hands on Brooke, his breath in her lungs, his voice husky with relief and residual terror, moments of profound closeness Taylor herself hasn't shared with him in such a raw, unfiltered way for far too long. This rescue, framed as heroism, feels to Taylor like a brutal emotional relapse, a stark reminder that when Brooke's world truly crumbles, Ridge Forrester remains her first, most powerful responder, regardless of rings or vows made to another. Taylor's jealousy isn't petty, it's the agonizing recognition of a fundamental truth she momentarily believed she had conquered. The Brooke-Ridge connection is elemental, forged in decades of passion, pain, and shared history, and it possesses a terrifying gravitational pull that can, in an instant, eclipse everything else, including her own carefully rebuilt future with the man she loves. Her relief that Brooke is alive is genuine, her appreciation for Ridge's actions is real, but beneath it all lies the chilling fear that Naples wasn't just a rescue from drowning, but a rescue of something far more dangerous to Taylor's dreams, the undeniable, resurrected specter of Ridge, potent and alive, washed ashore by the Mediterranean waves. Meanwhile, the emotional fault lines exposed in Naples ripple out, testing other fragile bonds back in Los Angeles. Hope Logan, Brooke's daughter, finds her own relationship with Carter Walton pushed to its limits. Reeling from the double whammy of her mother's near-death experience and the ongoing fallout from Grace Buckingham's monstrous deception involving Liam's fake tumor, Hope naturally gravitates towards supporting her ex-husband and the father of her child in his profound trauma and betrayal. Liam Spencer is shattered, grappling not only with the psychological torture inflicted by Grace's drugging and manipulation but also with the devastating lie about his own mortality. Hope's compassionate nature compels her to be his pillar, a commitment that leaves Carter feeling sidelined and vulnerable. Into this emotional void steps Daphne Rose, a figure whose motives shimmer with dangerous opportunism. Seeing Carter's loneliness and Hope's necessary distraction, Daphne expertly begins to manipulate the situation, positioning herself as Carter's attentive confidant, the one who is present when Hope is consumed by Liam's crisis. She subtly amplifies Carter's feelings of neglect, offering understanding, flattery, and a tempting alternative to the complicated Logan family drama that currently engulfs his fiancée. The closer Carter leans into Daphne's seemingly supportive embrace, the wider the chasm grows between him and Hope. Every shared secret, every lingering glance, every moment Carter spends seeking solace with Daphne instead of weathering the storm with Hope puts immense strain on their engagement. Daphne doesn't just offer comfort, she actively sows seeds of doubt, questioning Hope's priorities and subtly undermining Carter's faith in their future. Carter, a man of deep loyalty but also profound emotional needs, finds himself caught between his love and commitment to Hope and the intoxicating, uncomplicated attention Daphne lavishes upon him. His bond with Hope, built on mutual respect and shared values, faces its most severe test yet, not through overt betrayal, but through the insidious erosion of presence and trust, masterfully orchestrated by a woman who sees their vulnerability as her perfect opening. Hope, preoccupied with familial crisis and unaware of the depth of Daphne's scheming, risks returning to a relationship fundamentally altered, the foundation quietly cracked by another's calculated intervention. The source of Liam's anguish, Grace Buckingham's elaborate and sadistic plot, simultaneously fuels a furnace of white-hot rage within Bill Spencer. Learning the full, horrifying extent of Grace's deception, that she deliberately prescribed drugs to mimic worsening tumor symptoms, subjecting his son to unimaginable psychological torment and fear of a painful death, all while callously manipulating him into funding her scheme under the guise of an experimental treatment, leaves Bill utterly appalled and incandescent with fury. The betrayal cuts deeper than the stolen $1 million meant for bookies. It's an assault on his family, on Liam's very sanity. The image of Liam suffering needlessly, believing he was dying, while Grace coldly orchestrated the charade, ignites Bill's most protective and vengeful instincts. He sees red, consumed by the desire to make Grace pay in the most severe way possible for the agony she inflicted. He vows, with the chilling intensity only Bill Spencer can muster, that she will not escape consequences for this. However, Liam, despite his own trauma, embodies a more measured, perhaps weary, perspective. Having lived through the nightmare and recognizing the complex web of desperation and manipulation that ensnared Grace, even if it doesn't excuse her actions, he likely urges his father to step back. Grace, perhaps burdened by a sliver of remorse or simply calculating that confession might mitigate punishment, has turned herself in to the police. Liam, prioritizing healing over further destructive vendettas, probably advocates for letting the legal system run its course, understanding that Bill's unchecked rage could spiral into something that only compounds their family's pain. This creates a potent tension. Bill's primal need for personal retribution clashes with Liam's desire for peace and due process, forcing Bill to confront whether his wrath will serve justice or merely perpetuate the cycle of damage Grace began. Back within the orbit of the rescue that ignited Taylor's turmoil, Brooke Logan, safely returned to Los Angeles, finds herself navigating her own emotional aftermath. Nick Marone, perhaps sensing vulnerability or hoping the shared Italian interlude rekindled old flames, follows her home, his intentions culminating in a heartfelt marriage proposal. Brooke, ever gracious but resolute, gently declines. Her heart, as it so often does despite decades of pain, remains tethered to Ridge Forrester. The traumatic events in Naples, particularly Ridge's desperate rescue and the raw emotion she glimpsed, or heard whispered, in its wake, have reignited a powerful hope within her. She interprets his actions not just as heroism, but as undeniable proof of enduring, profound love. The way he fought for her life, the intensity in his eyes, the potential promise uttered on that beach, it all fuels her belief that their destiny is to find their way back to each other, that the Logan curse might finally be broken by the sheer force of this undeniable connection reaffirmed in crisis. She sees Naples not as an ending, but as a potential new beginning for Bridge, a catalyst forcing Ridge to confront feelings he's tried to bury. Her gentle rejection of Nick is a clear statement. Her future, she fervently hopes, lies with Ridge, not in settling for a safer, less tumultuous alternative. She's ready to fight for that future, buoyed by the belief that Ridge's rescue was a love letter written in near tragedy. This burgeoning hope in Brooke's heart is precisely the storm cloud darkening Taylor's horizon. As Ridge returns to Los Angeles, Taylor, masking her seething jealousy behind a facade of relief and wifely concern, actively pushes him to refocus on their reality, their impending wedding. She wants Naples compartmentalized, minimized, relegated to a frightening but closed chapter. She needs the wedding plans to accelerate, becoming a tangible bulwark against the Brooke-centric narrative threatening to engulf them. She'll emphasize moving forward, solidifying their union, hoping the momentum of commitment will drown out the echoes of Ridge's desperate cries for Brooke. Ridge, however, lands squarely in an agonizing emotional vice. He loves Taylor, he values their stability, her understanding, the life they've rebuilt. He doesn't want to hurt her. The guilt over his reawakened feelings for Brooke is likely palpable. Yet, the experience in Naples has shaken him to his core. The terror of losing Brooke, the overwhelming rush of emotion during the rescue, the raw honesty of that moment on the beach, it has violently resurrected feelings he believed were under control, feelings that now pull him with magnetic force back towards Brooke. His heart is undeniably conflicted, torn between the safe harbor Taylor represents and the tempestuous, all-consuming passion Brooke embodies. The promises he made to Taylor feel fragile against the visceral memory of Brooke's life literally depending on him. He is paralyzed by the impossible choice, dreading the devastation he'll cause regardless of his decision. The pressure from Taylor to focus on their wedding feels like a weight, while the pull towards Brooke feels like a riptide. In this agonizing stalemate, Ridge, perhaps overwhelmed or simply unable to shatter Taylor's world immediately, will likely choose the path of least immediate destruction, postponing the inevitable. He won't break up with Taylor, not yet. He'll cling to the status quo, hoping time or circumstance will clarify his path, buying himself a painful reprieve while ensuring Brooke's hope for an immediate reunion remains deferred. The Grand Bridge reconnection is put on hold, a dream deferred but far from extinguished, leaving Brooke waiting and Taylor perpetually braced for impact. As Brooke processes this delay, she channels her energy elsewhere, finding solace and distraction in organizing a special celebratory event at Il Giardino, a gathering likely designed to foster family unity or mark a professional milestone, offering a brief respite from the emotional maelstrom and a chance to shine in her element. Simultaneously, in the shadows of another complex family dynamic, Sheila Sharp, ever the observer scheming for leverage, finally uncovers the reason behind Lee Finnegan's unexpected championing of Luna Nozawa. Discovering the truth, that Luna is Sheila's biological granddaughter, the child she believed died years ago, is a revelation of nuclear proportions for Sheila. This knowledge is pure, unadulterated power. However, ever the strategist, Sheila might momentarily sheath her claws. Seeing Lee's fierce protectiveness over Luna, Sheila could make a calculated promise to Lee: she won't reveal Luna's true parentage. This isn't altruism, it's a strategic pause. Sheila understands the value of this secret. By promising silence, she potentially buys Lee's cooperation or, more likely, establishes a dangerous hold over her. She positions herself as the keeper of a truth that could shatter Luna's world and destroy Lee's relationship with her. This promise is less a vow and more a ticking time bomb, a piece of devastating leverage Sheila will undoubtedly wield when the moment best serves her twisted agenda, adding another layer of impending chaos to the already volatile lives intertwined in Los Angeles. Thus, while Taylor grapples with the green-eyed monster unleashed by Ridge's heroic act, Brooke nurtures deferred hope, Carter and Hope face external manipulation, Bill battles his rage, and Ridge remains paralyzed by divided loyalties. The revelation of Luna's true heritage simmers as Sheila Sharp, the perpetual wildcard, secures her most potent secret yet, ensuring the storms for the Forrester, Logan, Spencer, and now Finnegan/Nozawa families are far from over. Taylor Hayes had painstakingly rebuilt upon her return to Los Angeles, a world where love finally seemed to triumph over decades of rivalry and heartache, imploded with the brutal efficiency of a collapsing star when Ridge Forrester returned from Italy not with reaffirmed devotion, but with the shattering news that their engagement was over, irrevocably severed in favor of his eternal flame, Brooke Logan. The impact was not merely emotional, it was profoundly, terrifyingly physical. As Ridge's words, likely a tangled mess of guilt, newfound conviction about Brooke, and perhaps a misplaced attempt at kindness, washed over her, the familiar, horrifying sensation gripped Taylor's chest. The room spun, the air vanished, and her knees buckled, sending her crumpling to the floor in a terrifying echo of her initial return. Taylor Hayes, the brilliant psychiatrist who had dedicated her life to healing minds, was once again a victim of her own shattered heart, the insidious specter of Takotsubo cardiomyopathy, broken heart syndrome, resurfacing with vicious vengeance precisely because the foundation of her fragile recovery, Ridge's promised love and commitment, had been violently ripped away. This collapse wasn't just a setback, it was a devastating confirmation of every whispered warning she had fiercely dismissed, a brutal manifestation of the emotional tempest she had naively believed herself immune to, now threatening to engulf her completely. Taylor's journey back to LA was itself steeped in the shadow of this very syndrome. She arrived convinced a terminal physical heart failure was claiming her, a tragic final chapter. It was Grace Buckingham, piercing through the somatic symptoms, who delivered the poignant, psychologically resonant diagnosis, broken heart syndrome. The profound, accumulated grief of loss, the death of her son, the repeated implosions of her marriage to Ridge, the erosion of her sense of self-worth in the relentless bridge war, had literally weakened her heart muscle, mimicking catastrophic failure. Ridge, upon learning this, had swung into action with characteristic force or intensity. His